The Pentagon has released a video showing Russia's intercept of a US military surveillance drone downed over the Black Sea 2 days ago. It was the first direct US-Russian incident since the war in Ukraine began. And as you can see there from the footage, a Russian fighter jet comes close to the US drone in what Washington says was an attempt to damage its aircraft. Russia, though, denying the US accusations that its pilots had acted recklessly. Well, Douglas Herbert, our foreign affairs commentator, is with me. He's watched the video. Doug, it's only 42 seconds long, but just tell us what it shows, or at least
appear to show.
What it appears to show, yeah.
More what it shows, because, what your eyes see is what your eyes see here. Look, first of all, you said that it was a rare move by the U.S. military, first of all, as U.S.-European command to release it. And the reason they released it, Nadia, no big secret, is they were desperate to corroborate their version of events. Ever since this incident earlier this week, there have been clashing alternate reality versions of what happened here. The Russians saying, no contact, we never clipped the jet, we never dumped fuel on it. Well, guess what? The first thing we can say, Nadia, is that this video, 42 seconds in all, released today by the U.S. military, appears to give the lie to the Russian version of events. How does it do it? What it shows is, and you can see in that video there, it shows, first from a camera view, and a camera attached to the underbelly, the bottom of this Reaper drone, it shows Russian Su-27 fighter jets making two passes at the drone, not just one but two. During each of those passes, the drones appear to be spraying or dumping their jet fuel on the drone, presumably to blind its lenses, its surveillance cameras, whatnot, to basically blur its ability to collect intelligence. But what happens on that second pass is very interesting, because it apparently makes, and I say apparently because we don't see the actual collision, but what happens is it makes contact, which is the reason you have color bars come up in the video at one point. You lose communications with the drones because apparently that damage to the propeller also knocked out communications for about a minute. Now, the U.S. military does admit, for time purposes, that the video was edited, but it is absolutely categorical in what it does show. And what it does show is that two passes by these Russian jets, during which they sprayed or dumped jet fuel on this Reaper drone, and apparently during the second one colliding with that drone, basically triggering a chain of events that forced the Pentagon to have to manage to bring it down into the Black Sea. What it doesn't show, and I'll leave you with this thought, what it doesn't show, Nadia, is whether or not the Russians had intent to strike the drone, or whether it was simply reckless and dangerous behavior, but not intended to strike them, as the U.S. has been suggesting.
So the drone itself now probably lying on the bottom of the Black Sea. Yeah. Do we know, are the Americans or are indeed the Russians going to try and retrieve it?
Yeah, not probably lying, right? Lying, unless it was, levitated or beamed me up or something. But look, it's about 4,000 to 5,000 feet. What is that? 1,500 meters or so depth. The Americans officially are saying, it's going to be extremely difficult to get. They haven't made a decision on whether they even want to retrieve it. And what my thinking about this is yeah, according to U.S. officials, they had spotted, U.S. media quoted some U.S. officials as saying they had spotted Russian ships in the area in the past 24 hours. Not sure if those Russian ships were still in the area, what they were presumably doing, we don't know. But the Russians have made it clear that they would like to make an effort. At very high levels, they'd say, we would like to try to retrieve those drones. The U.S. in return sort of firing back, you go ahead, essentially saying, in so many words, go ahead, retrieve them. Any actionable intelligence, anything useful, we've basically dismantled the drones. We've basically removed any interesting intelligence you might get if you were to make all those efforts to go to the bottom of the sea to get it. So the Americans officially are trying to underplay, probably not going to try to retrieve it. It's gone. It's damaged goods. The Russians saying they're going to try to retrieve it, but the Americans making it clear that would be a futile exercise.
And we know the US and the Russians have been in touch in some way following this drone incident. I assume we don't know what was said, though, do we?
Well, no, but we could speculate. I love speculating, right?
Go ahead, Doug.
No, informed speculation. How's that? Look, absolutely. We do know, and rare contacts between Lloyd Austin, the U.S. Defense Secretary, and his Russian counterpart, Sergei Shoigu, over the past day. They had a phone call with each other in which basically Shoigu, on the Russian side, warned the Americans about what he sees as dangerous escalatory behavior on the U.S. side and telling the Americans, you better just back down. And Lloyd Austin basically firing back the exact other message from the other side. You stop acting irresponsibly, dangerously, and recklessly. Our drone had every right to be there, as do your drones over international airspace. Go ahead, drone on. So they at least had contact. You could say the fact that two top military officials on the Russian and U.S. side are speaking to each other, that is good news. But they're not exactly seeing eye to eye at this point in time.
Certainly not, but thanks for your analysis. Douglas Herbert for us there.